split open those things and formed the Colorado River and the Columbia River, and the rest of the water went underground into the Great Basin. So whenever I am here, I like to think, how big is here? How big is this place where we're sitting right now in a garage right by Bologna Creek? Does anybody want to guess where Bologna Creek is? Yep, just down the road. So my colleagues that are here with me today, Kelly and Diego, you want to raise your hands? They will be here to start to talk about part of our intention behind this exhibition, and part of the intention that the gallery has is to begin to think about how artist action can actually catalyze environmental change. So we're going to be hosting a series of workshops here on what we call undevelopment, and there's a form right under the table that describes, it's a questionnaire about undevelopments that you can, if you're interested in participating, can fill in. In the embrace of Libra's balancing scales and following the illumination of last Tuesday's full moon and eclipse, this moment invites us reflection on cycles. Cycles of space, land, fertility, and harvest. Today, as we walk through concrete as fluid, we are stepping into a flow that mirrors the rhythms of the earth. Just as the moon pulls the tides, unseen forces shape the land beneath us, intertwining seeds of potential with the concrete structures of our cities. This exhibition is a conversation between the hard and the soft, between what is planted and what is built, as fertility pushes through the cracks of industry and harvest springs forth from spaces we have overlooked. Let this be a space for you to witness the flow, how the landslide becomes fertile soil, how the river bends back into the city, and how each of us, like seeds, are carried by forces we may not see but deeply feel. The harvest we are entering is not just one of crops, but of intentions, of ideas, of renewal. Welcome to Concrete is Fluid, where the solid becomes permeable and the flow of land and life finds its form. All right, we're done. But when I hear that we're in the end of times, I just shut down, right? I feel fear, I feel hopeless, I feel lethargy, I feel like getting angry, blaming fictitious generations that made bad decisions, blaming electoral politics, but ultimately not understanding what we can do to find a way forward. So Concrete is Fluid is really embedded in a 20-year practice that I should tell you a little bit about as you're going through the exhibition. But I should also talk about what that 20-year practice has uncovered by way, what that 20-year practice has uncovered by way of understanding that there's a much larger arc of time than what we may expect when we live in a place, right? And that is the arc of time that everything alive is a part of. So in this exhibition, you'll see that time plays a large part in the works that you're going to see. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about the Metabolic Studio, and then I'm going to tell you a little bit about time before we go in there. The ideas of mysterious turquoise skirts that would dance around the basins of LA, that was their visualization of the logic of place. So the problem with that logic of place is that when those storms would go, those rocks and boulders would fly, and they could hurt buildings, they could hurt people, they could hurt animals. So in the early part of the 20th century, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers decided to help us be safe from the very thing that gives us life. So it's a both-and situation. The LA River works really well to keep us safe from floods. It also really works well to keep floods from making us safe to breathe. Because without all of those things that you just told me about, without the seeds, without the floodplains, without the rotting wood, without the soil, nothing can grow. And if nothing can grow, then what we get is dust when it's very hot, which gives us breathing problems. We have to water trees because trees can't reach what's rotting underneath the ground or the water table. So it gives us a lot of problems at scale. So in 2005, as a result of a dream that I had, as a result of an action I took that apparently engendered the dream, I had a vision of what's now called the cornfield, colloquially. Stephanie's here today. Want to raise your hand? You could talk. She's the director of the LA State Historic Park there. There was a proto-park, a park that had yet to find its form. And I was able to begin that process with a lot of other activists that were very involved with making it a park to begin with, by a great cleanup job. And what that cleanup job was to take responsibility for the train yard that was built there in the 19th century to export silver that was brought in from silver mining up north to go back east. So this could be a story that just goes on and roll out of control. But I will say that that train yard is an interesting place because it was the final destination of migrating great American bison. So the trains were there because when we built train lines, we followed the buffaloes. The buffaloes wandered across the North American continent in lines right at the foothills of mountains so that they didn't sink into the mud and they weren't cold up on the top. And they made compact roads that when we decided to build train lines, we built right on because it was a lot smarter and cheaper to build on bison tracks. So the farthest west that the bison went that we know about is the site that we now call the cornfield. And they probably were there because something very like corn was grown there, because it was a floodplain. So a lot of the work that we've been doing since 2005 has been asking ourselves, if this is a picture of where the bison used to be, what do we do? Where do we go from here? LA State Historic Park, which is below Dodger Stadium and Solano Kennedy. This area, Yagna and Tonga, is a place where the Wild River will regularly flood. So what we've been trying to do for almost as long as the cornfield is whisper the river back without dismantling the logic of what